Wow. Today, the World Cup, I can't lie, was absolute cinema. We just saw the big three of football play their first games of the World Cup, and they did not disappoint. In fact, they went above and beyond. They had performances that we're going to be talking about for a long time. But welcome back to the World Cup recap, day 6 now of this tournament. And again, I feel like every day just keeps getting better and better. Today we saw some of the best players in the world just absolutely show out. And this is exactly what the World Cup needs right here. To this point, we haven't really seen too much of the star power really come through, but we got no shortage of that today. We'll get straight into it as well. First game of the day, France versus Senegal. Now, I will give credit to Senegal for this because I'm not going to lie, they had France in a bit of trouble in the first half. Now, from what I've seen in France in previous tournaments, I'm not too surprised. They usually tend to be pretty tentative in the first half of their first game. We saw it in the Euros against Austria, even the World Cup in 22 against Australia. Not their best showing early on. And Senegal really had the chance to make their mark early in the game. Particularly late in the first half, Ismail Assar had the best chance of the game so far in front of the net, and he skied it over. That could have made such a difference for Senegal in that one because, again, for a lot of things, they deserve to be in front potentially in that first half. Which is why even how things played out in the end, you do not want to count out Senegal. Senegal is a very dangerous team. They're experienced at the World Cup. They've been there the last 2 times. They've got Sadio Mane this time, something they didn't have in 2022. And they are the AFCON champions. I mean, they won on the pitch. They didn't win on the courts. But at the same time, you knew what France was capable of, and you knew they weren't just going to go away and let things slide. Which is why Ismail Assar's missed chance is going to be so crucial for them. That could have put a lot more pressure on them and gave Senegal more of that cushion to stay ahead in the second half. But speaking of that second half, that is when France started to really turn up the heat. Kylian Mbappe, after not really doing much of anything in the first half, let's be completely honest here, in the second half, he came out like a different beast. With that one-on-one chance that he just missed, you felt like something was going to happen. And we thought that was going to be the case in the 59th minute when he went down. But unfortunately, VAR once again with another controversial decision. No penalty on that play. And again, I've watched this multiple times, even through the different angles, even through what the ref saw. That has to be a penalty. I don't know how much closer that can be to 100% conclusive that that is a penalty. The explanation that he gave was that Mbappe initiated the contact, but I don't really see that in this situation. I've seen plenty other situations of players initiating contact. To me, that's not one of them. Obviously, in the end, this didn't cost him too much. I mean, I guess you could say it costed him a potential hat trick. But still, already in the early stages of this tournament, we're getting these controversial calls. I get that every tournament to an extent is going to have those, but I feel like that's just one that you really can't go too much wrong in, and yet they still did. And whatever this did, whatever this non-penalty call did to Kylian Mbappe, it made him go all in for that goal, which he eventually got just a couple of minutes later. A brilliant ball in from Michael Olise. Mbappe just slots it home, and he gets on the board for France. And again, it's actually just insane when you think of this makeup of this French team, having Michael Olise passing to Kylian Mbappe. I mean, I think that these two players were going against each other just a couple of months ago in the Champions League. Now they're linking up with each other, and Olise setting him up for that first goal. Just shows how incredibly loaded this French team is. And that couldn't be stamped even more with France's second goal, with Bradley Barcola coming off the bench, making a great run in behind, similar to Mbappe. This time he had a little bit more time and space to make his move, and he made it to perfection. And again, having a player like Bradley Barcola come off your bench and make the impact that he does, I mean, I know he already kind of does that with PSG, but still, with this team, it's just so much more amplified because, again, look at all the players around him as well. And for him to do that in his first game, huge for him, huge for the French. They go up 2-0. But once again, Senegal just never got out of the game. In almost the last 2 minutes of the game, we saw an 18-year-old Ibrahim Mbaye. He made a brilliant move, causing a defender to fall, and he slotted it in the top corner. Senegal were within 1, just like that. But in the distance, you might have seen Kylian Mbappe give one of these to his team. From that moment, we should have known that something was going to happen. And right from the kickoff, gets the ball, turns, and just lets it fly. From 30 yards out into the top of the net, I mean, that was just breathtaking. I was already on my feet coming off of the Mbaye goal, which was amazing, but then seeing that instinct right after, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, I knew what I was seeing. I was watching greatness. Because with that goal, Kylian Mbappe broke 2 records in one. Not only did he break France's all-time scoring record passing Olivier Giroud, but he also passed Jules Fontaine for becoming France's all-time top scorer at the World Cup. And just like that, France's tournament gets off to a great start, especially considering how competitive this group's going to be. A 3-1 result like this against a tough Senegal team is exactly what was needed. And again, even just the performance of the French team, yes, I know they lagged a little bit in the first half, but that's usually the tendency of this kind of team. But that second half, they just took utter control of the game, created so many chances. Now, I will say I did expect a little bit more from players like Ousmane Dembele and Désiré Doué. I thought both of them didn't have the greatest of games. And I say all this to say that I would like to see maybe a situation where Ryan Cherki gets inserted into the starting lineup. I know Adrien Rabiot gets a lot of stick, but he always shows out when it comes to playing for his national team. I get that his club form isn't the greatest, but I swear, every time he plays for France, it's just night and day with him. Now, as for Senegal, they have obviously a big match against Norway next. If they thought their defense was going to be tested in this one, it's going to be pretty much the same thing in the next one as well. But again, I think there's a lot of positives to take away from Senegal's standpoint. If they play the way they did in the first half against Norway, they could really take it to them. But what they really need is, again, their front three, their top guys to step up for them. We saw them have chances in that first half that they weren't able to take. And one thing they can't do going forward is obviously invite teams to attack, invite all that pressure going forward because, again, for France, night and day in that first and second half for them. They just allow them to fully take over the match. I get it's easier said than done to stop all of that talent that they have on that team, but let's not act like Norway isn't short of that either. We know what they're capable of. But yeah, great stuff from France. Kylian Mbappe. There's a reason why I picked him as my Golden Boot winner for this tournament. And trust me when I say he's just getting started. We'll see by the end of the tournament if he can break that all-time World Cup record. It's going to be hard considering another player is doing just that as well. But before we get to that, let's go into the other game of this group, Iraq against Norway. Norway playing in their first World Cup since 1998. And of course, the long-awaited debut of Erling Haaland. Not only is it his World Cup debut, it's his debut in any major international tournament. And boy, oh boy, did he not disappoint. Compared to another world-class player making his World Cup debut with a team that couldn't even beat Cape Verde, this time Erling Haaland took it upon himself with this Norway team, especially in that first half. The first goal, it's just typical Erling Haaland stuff. Making the run, in the right position, tapping it home, easy finish, Norway up 1-0. It only took him 29 minutes to get on the board, and then he didn't waste any time to get that second goal either. With Iraq's Tassin and Hassan trying to play back to each other, Norway bringing all that pressure in front. If you are Jalal Hassan in that situation, right, and you're seeing a 6'4" Norwegian bearing down on you, absolutely running at you like a freight train, I don't blame him for what he did. Okay, I don't blame him for what he did. Haaland obviously just a nose for goal, went straight in on that one, even easier than the first goal in all honesty, and just like that, he's got his first 2 goals and Norway are cruising. Just before that, Iraq actually did make things interesting, getting 1 goal back with Ayman with striker Ayman Hussein putting them initially within level before obviously Haaland went right back at them, took it away from the goalkeeper. And then from there, the second half, Norway were just in control. They were obviously searching for that third goal to really seal this one off, and that's exactly what they got. With Martin Odegaard finding Leo Østigard with the header, Norway get that all-important third goal. And they even had a fourth as well, with Iraq's goal scorer Ayman Hussein heading in the own goal for this one. Norway take a 4-1 win. And all I gotta say is Norway look every bit as dangerous as many thought they would be heading into this tournament. There's a reason why a lot of people had them as their main dark horse of this tournament, and it's completely understandable to see why. When you have superstar talent like that with Erling Haaland, not just him, but other quality players on this team like Martin Odegaard as well. Alex Sorloth, another scoring threat for them as well. And obviously with how they played heading into this tournament, they are just on an absolute high. So again, shout out to Norway when they get off to a really great start. They're actually first in the group with this result. But a big game in the next one, obviously Senegal is going to be a massive step up for them as far as competition. But getting that first game under your belt, getting Haaland going right away against this Iraq team, it's exactly what Norway needed. Getting those 3 points, getting good goals on the board, even if things don't really go their way in the next 2 games, they'll still probably be in a great position to advance regardless. But yeah, it's just so good to finally see Erling Haaland, to finally get to be in an international tournament, let alone a FIFA World Cup. Norway's obviously missed out on the last 3 international tournaments. In fact, they've missed out on quite a few international tournaments even before Erling Haaland was even inserted into this team. But honestly, this is a team that can not only be dangerous at this tournament, but even going forward, so long as they keep that consistently, which I'd like to think they have at this point. They have enough guys, they have enough talent around their star players to really get things done going forward. And so yeah, this is the start of something for Norway and for Erling Haaland. Who knows if he could potentially nick a golden boot from this tournament. He would probably need to score, a couple more goals in each games or even have a big run with Norway. But regardless, we know what Haaland's capable of. We know he can do something like that. And who knows? Norway, if they are the dark horse that everyone says they are, I wouldn't put anything past them. Now we go on to Argentina against Algeria. The defending champions finally kicking off their World Cup campaign, looking to defend their title. And leading the line for them, it's still Lionel Messi. A week away from turning 39 years old. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect from him coming into this World Cup. I still thought he's a guy that can maybe get, 2-3 goals in this tournament, a couple of assists, nothing crazy, right? Still a solid tournament for his standards, but nothing what we saw in 2022. But boy, we were wrong, because this little magician showed that he still got it. We all thought it only took 6 minutes for Lionel Messi to get his first goal of this game in the World Cup, but that was denied for offside. 2 minutes later, Algeria had another chance on the other end, got the ball in the net, and that was also denied for offside. I felt like I was watching Argentina versus Saudi Arabia last year with all the offsides that were going on. But then 10 minutes later, Lionel Messi got the first goal of the game. This one would count. And my God, was it an incredible shot. I mean, just ridiculous stuff from him on that one. And now jumping over to the second goal, Messi pretty much starts this whole attack sequence for Argentina. Eventually, McAllister gets it, puts the shot on, keeper bobbles it, and Lionel Messi slots it in for goal number 2. Obviously not as good as the first one, but still, a 2-goal game for Messi. You couldn't have asked for much more, but yet it's Lionel Messi we're talking about, so he's going to give you more. 15 minutes later, we get a vintage Messi goal. He gets it from outside the box, has the time and space, slots it in with the left foot, bottom corner. As finally, Lionel Messi gets his first World Cup hat-trick, and with that goal, he ties Miroslav Klose for the most goals in World Cup history. All of that in his 200th cap as well for his nation, as Argentina start their World Cup defense in no other better way with a 3-0 win against Algeria. To think that this guy turns 39 years old in literally a week from now, and he put on this kind of performance, maybe his greatest performance that he's put on in a World Cup, is just ridiculous. It still felt like I was watching peak Messi. His passes were sharp, his movements were sharp, everything about it was just so sharp that it literally felt like I was watching a 28-year-old Messi rather than a 38-year-old Messi. For as much credit as we give players like Ronaldo for their longevity throughout their career, I think Messi has just taken that to another level, because again, it's not like we're seeing a watered down version of him. This is still the Lionel Messi that I feel like I've watched for basically my whole life. And speaking of Ronaldo, you've got less than 24 hours to respond. Because I saw a stat last night that since Ronaldo's last goal that he scored at the World Cup, Lionel Messi has scored 9. Which, by the way, is more goals than Ronaldo has scored in his entire World Cup career. But now on to the last group game of the day. Another 12 a.m. game in Eastern Time. Austria against Jordan. Now, I don't care what anyone says. These 12 a.m. games have been absolutely delivering. I get from a team standpoint, obviously, it's Austria, it's Jordan, it's nothing that crazy. But this game in particular was so entertaining. And it's down to the fact that both these teams just play a really exciting brand of football. Austria, we obviously know they play that Red Bull style, the high press, high intensity, numbers in the attack, and we saw that today. But I will give Jordan all the credit in the world because they gave everything out there to repel that system and got something of their own. Starting in the first half here with Romano Schmid, again, these outside the box goals are just getting ridiculous. He scores another brilliant one as he puts Austria up 1-0. And once again, we saw in that first half, Austria just going all in, attacking, trying to get more chances on against Jordan. But Jordan fair play to them. They held firm, and then early in the second half, they got one of their own. Brilliant chance from them, which was put away by Al-Iyad Alwan. A nice tribute on that goal as well. Jordan getting back in it, 1-1. Then from there, the game just got extremely complicated. Marko Arnautovic looked to have scored a go-ahead goal for Austria. Then there's a VAR check for a handball. It gets overturned. 10 minutes later, he looks to have scored again. This time, it's ruled as an own goal. Austria go back up 2-1. Austria go back up 2-1. And then with 10 minutes added on, Austria used all of those 10 minutes, and they got a penalty awarded as Arnautovic finally got his World Cup goal. Great start for the Austrians. They take it 3-1. Again, big start for Austria. Considering they have Argentina as their next game, they had to come out and make a statement against Jordan. They absolutely did that. And again, I said this in my preview video about them, but fair play to Ralf Rangnick. He has been such a huge presence for the Austria team ever since his arrival. The way that I look at it, honestly, with this Austria team is that throughout these last couple of years, through the Red Bull teams and through Rangnick himself, they have established the identity. It's only taken the last couple of years for Austria to actually embrace this style and embrace this identity of play for themselves and their national team. And it has paid off in dividends because, again, ever since then, we saw Austria impressive in Euro 2024, and now a great start to this World Cup campaign. But again, fair play to Jordan. They really gave it all in this one. They should have an easier time against Algeria, although I do expect to see a better Algerian side come out than the one that we saw against Argentina. But I honestly believe Jordan can get at least a point out of that game. It'd be huge history for them, their first point at the World Cup. But again, for their World Cup debut, we've been seeing a lot of these teams making their World Cup debuts and just turning heads. But overall, just another entertaining game, especially, again, these late games. You would think that, okay, it's Austria, Jordan, it's nothing crazy, but watching them, it's just so fun. This is what the World Cup is, seeing these different matchups that you wouldn't get anywhere else. But that is going to be it for this day recap of the World Cup. We've got one more day of this batch of group games. We'll finally be able to see teams like Portugal, Colombia, England, and Croatia all get on the pitch. Some big contenders in there as well. I'm mostly looking forward to, obviously, Portugal. I'm going to have a lot to say about that game, especially because it's the first one. We're only just at the beginning. So great to watch and so many great moments yet to be had in the next coming weeks. Again, thanks for all the support on this series. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe for daily World Cup content as we get through the final batch of these first round of group games. If they could be any as good as what we've seen so far in this group stage, we're in for an absolute treat. Let's play football.